Have you ever added something to your wish list in the hopes that it would just magically show up on your doorstep? Well, it does happen sometimes. These fenders I have had on my wish list for at least 6 months. So when Hooke Road reached out and asked if I would be interested in them sponsoring a video, I said absolutely yes. Like, how often does that happen? Of course, the caveat being that anything I say is my own honest opinion. You can't buy my love. They agreed, so here we are. Today, I'm going to be unboxing, reviewing, and installing these fenders. I got all 4 on my 2010 Jeep Wrangler. Now, this comes from a point of view of someone who has very limited mechanical experience, so I am curious to see just how easy it is for someone who really doesn't have a clue what they're doing. They just want the look and the functionality of getting aftermarket fenders. First thing to note is FedEx did an absolute amazing job at taking care of this box. They tried to tape it back up, so I'm just hoping that it's packaged really well on the inside, because it would suck to open it and not have like the bolts and stuff, but I have faith. So let's get this open and see what it looks like. It's also very, very heavy. I don't know if you saw the short, but it was fun getting it in the garage. Okay, moment of truth. Initial impression. It does seem like this is packaged really, really well. All of the fenders are kind of hooked together so they don't roll around inside the box. Got a couple pieces of foam. It looks like this is a contents packing sheet along with a couple of stickers. And then looks like this box right here that is indeed taped to the fender so it doesn't fall off if certain carriers kind of mess up the box. That's probably my bolts right there. So let me go ahead and get this unpackaged so that way you don't have to hear all the rustling sounds and everything like that, and we'll come back to this. I think I'm in love. They are really heavy though, and they were packaged insanely well. Each one was wrapped in individual thick plastic, and then they put some foam in between them and then taped them all together with more than enough tape. I know it's a thing to save and being unable to throw away good boxes. Is that a thing with plastic? That was some really good plastic. But anyways, it did come with everything that was required. I already checked all the parts. The booklet that came with it shows the parts list and what tools you need, and even has a QR code to scan for instructions. But on the back side, it's got beautiful pictures with detailed instructions. So I'm gonna try to install this just based off of the instructions provided. Now, it does say one of the tools you need is a rivet nut tool, which I feel like is pretty much the one a lot of people may not have, but it does come with a little hand rivet tool. So I think that's gonna be all right. We're gonna go ahead and get the Jeep pulled in here and see what we can do. Okay, hopefully the audio is better because I swapped out the mic. I'm pretty sure that last one is no longer working. Anyways, this is the Jeep that I'm working on today. This is my baby. I got it about probably 4 or 5 years ago, completely stock when I got it. Got the bumper, the running boards. There's still a lot I do want to do to it, but it's a start. Oh yeah, the grill. But the thing that has always bothered me from the first day I got it, because it was a pretty clean stock Jeep, is these fenders are just rock chipped so bad. And then when I washed it yesterday in preparation for this video, because you know, it's got to look its best, I noticed the clear coat is like peeling up. So this couldn't have come at a better time. I will say that most of the upgrades I do are probably 70% aesthetics and 30% ability to take it off-road if I want to, and just adding a little bit more capability when it's off-road. Like we only did a 2.5-inch lift kit on it, and that when I went trail riding once, like it just rubbed a lot, so that gave me a little bit of that, but I do have to commute 2 hours every day for work, so I also wanted it to still be okay on the road going 60, 65. The first thing I'm gonna have to do is get the inner fender liners off. And in order to do that, it's got these little clips right here that are just liable to break and a pain in the butt. But the way you get those off is either you can use a screwdriver and some pliers and just beat it into submission and just kind of plan on replacing them. Or my husband is a car guy, so I'm lucky enough that he has one of these handy dandy little tools. So that is what I'm gonna use to get this inner fender liner off. I'm not going to show you me struggling with this because it's really not necessary, but if there's any more relevant information, I will come back as I'm doing this. That was way easier than I thought that was gonna go. Mostly it was those little clips, but there was a single 10mm bolt right there, and I did save that just in case. So now it should be as simple as just pulling this down and out of the way, maybe. It's very hard to do while you're holding the camera. Hold, please. Okay, so 2 hands are required for that. And these will not work with the new fenders because the new fender flares do not come out as far. I probably should have ordered the inner fender liners because I really want them, and also it would look a lot better. But for right now, I'm just gonna toss that there out of the way. So now we're gonna look at how to take off the actual fender itself. It should be as simple as going in here and taking off all the bolts that are holding it to the body. So that is what we're gonna do now. They should be 10mm, I believe, based on looking at them, but I'll put it up on screen if it's different. And I will note that the instructions do not include how to take off your old fenders, but it does seem pretty self-explanatory. There turned out to be 4 10mm bolts, and then you also have these little plastic clips, but those should just pop right out when you pull the fender off. The other thing to note is if you have a side marker light like I do, make sure you unplug it, and it's as simple as putting your screwdriver right inside there, up against the top side of it. You'll feel a little clip in there, press it down, and it'll just pop right off. Okay, here goes nothing. Feel like we might have missed the bolt. No? Okay, some of those clips just snapped. It'll be fine. So now I'll probably go ahead and take those off. I'll look at the instructions first to make sure we don't need them, but I doubt it because it didn't come with new ones. And every time you take something off a Jeep, it seems like the clips break. So there you have it. I don't know about you, but I am not very good at reading instructions. I look at the pictures, and according to the picture, it does not have those gray clips on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and take those off. But then again, it doesn't have that bracket on it either. But that is welded to the frame. So we're gonna see how this goes. So here's the deal. I would highly recommend, if you're gonna do aftermarket fender flares like this, go ahead and order and do the inner fender liners at the same time. I thought we were gonna get away with not having to do the little rib nuts here, because it said basically only if you're installing the inner fenders. However, there aren't enough bolt or nuts to put all the bolts in and everything. And where the rib nuts have to go depends on the inner fenders and everything. And that way you don't have to take it back apart and put it back together again. And then also there's certain bolts that are really hard to get to. These two right here, the frame or something is right there. So it makes it almost impossible to start those bolts. However, their inner fenders, they have rib nuts already installed on them, so you don't have to mess with that if you have the inner fenders first. So I am going to finish this video, basically install them as if I was putting on the inner fenders and show you how it looks with these installed, and keep this video about installing these fender flares. But I am going to order the inner fenders and then put them on as well before I drive it again. I think it'll make everything go a whole lot better. There'll be more protection. It will look a lot nicer, but that's what we're doing. So we do have to use this rib nut tool wherever it is, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So the instructions say to install the rib nuts in this hole here and this hole here. The first thing you may notice is the hole is not even kind of big enough. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a drill bit that's slightly larger than the size of the hole and go ahead and drill it out. Just be careful when it goes all the way through that it doesn't catch and yank the drill out of your hand. For the rib nuts that came with our kit, a 7/16 drill bit works great. You just want to make sure you keep it straight on and go slow. I did not keep it straight on, and it went a lot faster than I thought it was going to. So now, you're gonna find the rib nut you lost and test fit it. So it starts to go in, but it doesn't go all the way in. At this point, what I'm gonna use is this gigantic crescent ridge, and essentially you're just providing a backer for when you tap this in, so that way you don't dent your quarter panel. So, then you're just gonna hit it and hope for the best. Now you're gonna take the little tool it came with. I'm using a 12 on the body of it and a 14 for the head. You're gonna take it apart so that way your 12 millimeter wrench goes on the long cylinder part. And then you're gonna take it and you're gonna thread the bolt into your rib nut. Okay, so once that's hand tight, you're gonna make sure you keep it as straight as possible, and you're gonna hold the head of it while you tighten the body of it. What this is gonna do is it's fully threaded through that rib nut, so it's essentially pulling it in and it's creating a ridge on the back side of this fender that's gonna hold that nut into place. And you just go until it's tight, and then you're gonna loosen it back up and take the bolt out, and then it's gonna be installed like this one. What you're looking for to know that it's successfully installed is this. We'll go this. This is what it looks like before it's crimped. Once it's done, see that ridge that it created by pulling that in? That's what you're going for. That's what's gonna hold it in place so it doesn't spin on you when you're trying to put in a bolt. Now that that's done, you're ready to install and bolt on your fender. Now this part would be a heck of a lot easier with two people, one person to essentially hold it in place, the other person to put all your bolts in. You can do it by yourself. Just get a bolt started and then line up another one, get it started type deal, and basically just go around and you'll see on the bottom like where all the bolts go and everything like that. You won't be able to miss one, but you're gonna loosely put all your bolts in, get all the nuts on, and then make sure it's fine and then tighten them down and adjust it as needed. To make this a little bit easier, I'm gonna put the bolt, then the lock washer, which is the one that has the split on it, your regular washer, this is what's gonna go in the front side, and then you're gonna reach back there and loosely hand tighten your nut. If you can't get it started, spin it the opposite direction for a second, that'll help it line up, and then you can easily tighten it. One fender is completely installed. All the bolts are tightened, and it's sturdy, way more sturdy than the factory fenders. There's no give to it at all. Tightening the bolts was definitely super easy, not nearly as hard as getting them started. And then this right here, this is not a manufacturing error. My Jeep, when I got it, it had some front end issues due to a accident or something. And if you don't believe me, look back at our shorts, because there is a short of us trying to straighten it out by chaining it to a tree, but it did not do anything. But as you can see, even the grill, it fits nice and snug on that side and doesn't on this side. So I imagine that's what the problem is there. So I'm gonna have my car guy husband straighten that out a little bit for me, so that way I can put that last bolt in. And then also you'll see how when we do this side, it's going to fit a lot better because it's not going to have that issue. So there's one fender. Now we move on to the other ones. I am not proud to say that this one fender took me 2 hours to do, because it was a lot of figuring it out. And honestly, I tried to do it my own way because I thought I knew better versus following the instructions. If I had followed the instructions from the beginning, I wouldn't have had to essentially put it on, take it back off, and then re-put it back on. So hopefully the rest of them go a lot faster. Also, because I'm sure I'm going to get comments on that last clip, it does not need an alignment. I have put so many miles on my Jeep, and the tires are wearing completely evenly and everything, so I'm not worried about it. It's a cosmetic issue that I just deal with it as I have to. This fender should be the same deal as far as take out all the little clips for the inner fender liner, see what we're working with, and take out the bolts. The clips do look different, but if there's anything relevant, I will definitely come back to you. But let me see if I can get this off. Couple things to note. One, needle nose pliers are going to be your best friend for when you start to take out the clips and you bend the head or whatever. Maybe you're just terrible at it like I am. Anyways, you can grab onto them and yank them out or break them off really easily. 2, there's no bolts in the rear fender. So you just take off the cover or the inner fender liner, and then you do like we did on the front one, grab at one end, pull up to pop all those clips out, and then do the same on the other side. And, oh no, I have a big old rust spot right there, squirrel. And 3, be prepared to get very, very dirty, because I just washed this yesterday, but the amount of dirt that has fallen out on me taking out those inner liners is insane. Even though I washed up under there, it's just, you can't get it all. So yeah, but anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get those little clips out that are left over, and then we'll get the other one mocked up and see where we're at. According to the instruction, all of the bolts on this one require rib nuts. So I went ahead, and so that way I'm not going back and forth between the instructions and the Jeep and everything, because there are a lot of holes on here. I went ahead and marked the ones that I have to insert the rib nuts in with white paint. And then these 2 up here, those you only have to do if you're not doing inner fender liners. So I'm assuming because the inner fender liners do come with it already installed. And so if I were to install those right now, they'd be in the way and I'd have to take them back out in a week when those arrive because I ordered them. So I'm going to go ahead and skip those 2, and then we'll go ahead and install the rest. So depending on your needs would depend on if you need to put the rib nuts in that location or not. All 5 of the ones I need to do are now done. So if you're not doing the liners, you'll need to do 7. Just to let you know, the ones on the back, you can't get to the back side of them. So you can't hold it on the back. Just make sure it's lined up, push it in there so it catches a little bit, make sure it's completely straight, and then just gently tap it until it starts to go in, and you'll be perfectly fine. Some things have happened. When you do put these in, which I'm not doing it now because they're coming off in less than a week, but go ahead and put some never sees on your bolts. That'll just make it a whole lot easier when you do have to take them back out again in the future. But that's not supposed to happen. I think I got it tight enough. But anyways, that snapped, and this is a specialty washer that had room for the bearings in order to make this tool work. So my husband made a modified tool for me, because at this point I probably would have been stuck. I would have had to go buy a rib nut tool in order to put the rest of them in. But if you want the formula for our tool, just leave a comment below and we'll put it in the comments, so that way anybody can rebuild this, and we'll see how this works. I'll let you know if I run into more issues. I forgot to say, I was having issues with it seeming like it was spinning out when I was trying to use it. When you start it in there, make sure this cylinder piece is all the way bottomed out against the head of your bolt, so that way you don't have that issue. So that worked. It wasn't quite as easy as the tool, but it worked. So now we're just gonna set this up here and go ahead and insert all of our bolts. I'll come back once it's completely bolted on. It's on. I did go ahead and start with these 2 in the center right here to kind of prop it up on there, because they were the easiest to get to, and then I put in the rest of them. Oh, also, that is what the 13mm wrench is for, wrench and socket is for on the instructions, is for these bolts. So good to know. This one right here is definitely the hardest to get to. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to move it around, because as you're putting these bolts in, the reason why you don't tighten them down is a lot of times you have to push up a little bit or down a little bit or whatever to get them to line up just right. So that one is definitely the hardest one to put on. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, and I'm not going to show you all of it because time consuming and nobody wants to watch that long of a video. It is already dark outside. This is taking me way longer than I thought it was going to, but I'm not terribly surprised because I'm not much of a car person. I'm not very good at this stuff. So it's getting done. That's the whole point of this, is it's getting done. But yeah, I'll come back to you if something happens that I need to make note of. Otherwise, it's going to cut to the final result. It may have taken 6 hours, but it was not the death of me. It was definitely a little bit more complicated than I thought it would be, but the overall result, let me show you how it looks. Honestly, this is 100% the look that I was going for. I'm absolutely in love with them. I don't think it would be a bad purchase, and they are definitely some of the cheapest ones I've seen on the market. We did run into a couple issues as far as a couple bolt holes in the back not lining up exactly right. So right now I didn't mess with it because I'm planning on doing the inner liners anyways. But all I'm gonna have to do is just drill it out a little bit more so that lines up. And then the one in the front, kind of the same deal. As you can see, this side is a lot closer than this side was. So I do think that is partly my Jeep's problem. But when we take these back off, my husband will bend them over a little bit. So that'll fit nice. But I mean, they're freaking sturdy. My goal was, honestly, so lifted Jeep. I kind of have a hard time reaching the stuff in the center as far as when I'm checking the oil and stuff like that. So I wanted somewhere more sturdy than the factory fenders, which these automatically are compared to this nonsense. So I think it's going to do that for me. It's the look I'm going for. Now, we just need to upgrade some more stuff. So would I say installation was super easy? No. But it was doable with some time and some patience. So it's 100% worth it to me to be able to do something like this for myself, for my own Jeep. I would not hesitate to buy from Hooke Road myself. In fact, I've already ordered the inner fender liners that go with these fenders. And I already have a couple of other things that I plan on ordering eventually, like bumpers, skid plate, doors, the windshield frame cover. They have so many options. And their packaging can stand up to FedEx shipping, which is in and of itself impressive. Let me know if you found this video helpful. I mean, I know that I kind of fumbled my way through it, but it's real. That's what it's like when you don't have mechanical experience yourself. Well, it's past my bedtime, so I'll see you in the next video.